Good morning, folks. YouTube tells me that we are live. Welcome back to another Saturday morning. Of course, it may not be Saturday morning where you are, but it's Saturday morning for here. Welcome back to Adventurous Ukuleles. This morning, we are going to play a classic. It is dangerous attempting classics on the ukulele because there is a chance you may ruin a perfectly good song, as is always the case when playing ukulele. However, I think this is a good one to play on the ukulele. We're going to be looking at David Bowie, Space Oddity, and my goodness, it's a bit of a challenge this morning, folks. This is definitely an adventurous ukulele live stream, so don't be afraid of skipping out the hard bits if necessary. Before we start, we're going to have a listen to the song, and I had a lot of fun making this video yesterday. Again, spent way too long on it. While the video is going on, you will need to find a ukulele, and you will need a hat. It's one of the, I was going to say unwritten rule, but no rules are written down for this live stream. But it is an acknowledged rule we had last term that if you want to join in on this live stream, you'd require a hat of some sort or alternative headgear, maybe sunglasses. This is the only hat I've got that is presentable for camera, so this is the one I'm using. So before we go any further, welcome to everyone, and let's have a listen to a ukulele arrangement of a Space Oddity. Here we go. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. 'Cause here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much, she knows. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong, can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating round my tin can? Far beyond the moon, planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. There we go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun making that. Big thanks to William for helping me with the countdown. So you'll have noticed there's quite a few different parts to this song in terms of what we do on the ukulele. We are going to need to learn quite a few chords. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12, 13, depending how you count them. Different chords. As always, most of them aren't used more than a couple of times, and there's a few standard ones, but there's lots of different chords coming through this song. We've also got some tricky little rhythms in the strumming and the little riff section. We've also got some finger picking to do if you would like to. And we've also got a little sound effect for the ukulele. So I'll give you a heads up. If you have got a slide, right, one of these, where's the camera gone there? This is a metal tube that can be slid along the strings. But if you haven't got one of those, don't worry. If you have got one, go and grab one. I'm not expecting not many of you do, unless you play guitar. They also come in glass, like this one. But the ukulele is easier than a guitar to find something that will work as a slide. You can use all sorts of different things. I found a key ring that works really nicely. It's just a bit of metal. And even in the last, you could use a knife or some other piece of cutlery that has a round or smoothish bottom. The best thing I found though, which I guarantee 99% of you will have at home knocking around somewhere, is an old battery. This works absolutely great as a slide. So I'll give you a heads up. If you're going to play this with all the sound effects, you'll need one of those items. So we'll come back to that. So, ukulele's out. We should be in tune. Always make sure you tune ukulele before you play. That's old news for you adventurous ukulele players. But we've got a G, we've got a C, we've got an E, and we've got an A. Just checking the chat. We've got some appreciative messages for the video. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. I spent way too long on these. Next week's might be a little bit more mundane because I stayed up way too late last night doing this. Okay, we've got our ukuleles, we've got ourselves in tune. Quick recap on how we hold the thing. I've got my right leg propped up slightly and I'm sitting down to play the ukulele, which means I want the ukulele resting in between my legs with the bottom of the body almost exactly in the middle of my body. And then the neck of the ukulele is pointing 45 degrees up, pointing up to the sky, or probably to the corner of the room you're in. Maybe. I'm actually doing it outside, which is nice. That means then that the ukulele is resting on my leg. If you're standing up to play, then you may have a strap. You still want that same angle of the ukulele. You can have it low if you'd rather, but generally a bit higher is easier to play. So you want your left hand to have easy access to the frets and your right hand to be strumming like that. Make sure that the ukulele is flat against your body and not like this. Strumming like that is more like ironing a shirt and not very good. You want to be strumming down with gravity to help you. Okay, that's the basic recap done. So let's get the chords on the screen so you can see what we're up against. Here we go. The link to these chords is in the video description and also in the chat. Do download them and print them out if you. They are possibly visible on the screen, but I shall keep them on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Right. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections of this song, although some of them are repeated. So the intro is basically just a little bit of section C. So we'll take that out. So there's 5 different parts of this song. Section A, section B, section C, an instrumental section, and then section D. Now, I was really struggling to label these with verse and chorus and pre-chorus and bridge, so I just called them A, B, C, and D for want of another option. It is an unusual song. It's an unpredictable structure, and it doesn't stick firmly to one key. Although we are more or less in the key of C, which is a good key for the ukulele. Right, where shall we start? Let's start at the very beginning. We're going to start with the intro. Right, straight away in the intro we have the strumming pattern that will stay with us for the rest of the song. Now on the other side of this sheet, let's see if we can show the sheet here. On the other side there, you should see, yep, you've got the strumming pattern at the top. That goes for all of the song. If we're not doing the finger picking pattern, you can strum that pattern more or less with some variations all the way through the song. So there's nothing particularly unpredictable about that strumming pattern, but it does take a little bit of practice. Then we've got the instrumental riff that comes in the instrumental section. We'll come to that later. And then we've got a picking pattern that can be used actually with the same chords as I've written for the strumming pattern, but that's used in section C. So let's. I'm going to switch back to the other view so you can see the chords. But do have a look at the other side of your sheet. Print them double-sided, folks. There's the chords, there's the tab. Because I reckon once you've learnt those tabs on the back, you can then turn back to the front and play through the whole thing. So we'll deal with the chords as we come to them. So the intro is going to use an F major 7 and an E minor 7. F major 7 is an interesting one. We've got to go up to fret 5 for this, but it's a really nice sounding chord. We need a fret 5 on the G string and a fret 5 on the C string. You can use whichever fingers you like, either the first 2 or second 2, I would suggest. Not sure which ones I use, I alternate between them, but 2 fret 5s on the strings nearest your head. Like that. Gives you a really nice crunchy major 7 chord. These are some of my favourite chords. They have a wistful kind of feeling. Like you're looking back on a breakup, but actually you're kind of glad that you broke up. I think that's the kind of feeling I get. Beautiful, emotional chord. And then we've got an E minor 7, which is a nice easy chord, another 2 fingers. Open G, 2nd fret on the C, open E, 2nd fret on the A. I would suggest 1st and 2nd fingers for this. And we're just going to alternate between them, and there's 4 beats to a bar, and it's quite a slow tempo. We've got this kind of speed, 1, 2, 3, 4, just over 1 beat a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor 7, F major 7, E minor 7. And the original track fades in with those chords. Now, the strumming pattern that you can... I was just strumming once per beat, that's fine. You can get through the whole song with that strumming pattern. But to replicate what Mr. Bowie does on the guitar, we've got the strumming pattern that's on the back of your sheet, which is this. Let me get it right. So that is the strumming pattern, and it's a little bit daunting when you see it written down on the sheet. But let's have a go. It does stay the same almost all the way through the song, so you can switch it onto autopilot once you've learnt it. If you are counting this strumming pattern, you need to be counting in 16th notes or semiquavers. And the way we count those is, instead of just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, if we're counting quavers or 8th notes, we do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So to do 16th notes or semiquavers, excuse me, we need to do 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. All evenly spaced there, no swing in this piece. That's our underlying count. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. And if I switch to the chord sheet here, which you're already looking at, of course, you can see I've written that underneath the dots there. So I've written on the lower line, where the lyrics normally go, I've written 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. That's what you need to start by saying. Oh, I've just noticed it's gone out of sync. Look at that. Spent ages lining all that up, and when I printed it out, it's gone out of sync. Anyway, the ones in brackets on that line are the ones we need to miss out. So if you get this 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and then try and miss out the ones in brackets. So we go, say them really quietly. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Not as easy as it is. Then miss them out entirely. And you can look at the first line of the lyrics bit here. 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. So I'm clapping the main pulse and I'm just saying the notes where I'm meant to be playing. Then do it without the pulse. 1, a 2 and a E a. Get it right. 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. You turn it into some lyrics, then it's easier to say it. Ba, 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 ba. Now back to the ukulele. Mute the strings just by touching them with your left hand and get used to the strumming pattern. We're strumming 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, using an alternating stroke. Down, up, 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 down, up. Take it a little bit slower. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Now we need to keep that motion going, but when we miss out the things, we just don't hit the strings. So again, I'm saying the ones that I'm not playing really quietly. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. Just do it once really slowly. 2, 3E and a 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. Then we can put the chord down and see how we get on. 2, 3 and a 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. You notice my hand is going constantly 1E and a 2E. I say this every time. Every lesson I do, I seem to say, keep your hand moving constantly. The same consistent rhythm. Then it's easy enough just to miss out the notes we don't want. Once more, for luck, using this F major 7 and E minor 7 chord sequence. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a E and 4E and a 1, a 2 and a E and 4E and a. If your hand is moving constantly and consistently at the 1E and 2E, that kind of speed, then even if you don't hit the right notes and you miss out some of the wrong ones, it will still sound good. What we want is this kind of unusual, slightly missed, there's a few kind of missed notes on the strong downstroke. So miss out some of the downs and it will sound approximately right. Or spend a little bit longer and really nail that pattern. Andrew's connecting my pronunciation of David Bowie. Is that better? Mr. Andrew Wilde, author extraordinaire and sage of all things pop and prog rock. Not pop, perhaps, but maybe pop. Thank you for correcting that. David Bowie rhymes with snowy. Who knew? Well, not me, clearly. And he did. So that is our strumming pattern. We can use that all the way through this song. When we get to the verse, we can use the same strumming pattern. So that will come back time and time again. Let's switch our chords back. There we go. Okay, that is our intro done, and that took a little while. So don't panic, we will move a little bit quicker through the rest, because we've got a lot to get through. After the intro, we move to the section A. I think of this as the verse. Not too bad on the chords. We need a C major, and we need an E minor, and we need an A minor, and an A minor 7, everyone's favourite easy chord, all the strings open, and then a D7 at the end. D7 is a little bit trickier. We need to have 2, 2, 2, 3. So I play it with a bar like this on across the 2nd fret, or you can use all 3 fingers like that and then your little finger on the A string. However you want to do it. You can, of course, cheat slightly and play an F sharp diminished, which is 2, 0, 2, 0, working from your head to the floor. That will work, but it's not quite as nice as that D7. So I'd strongly suggest this one, but if you need to, then play that one. I've written the hard one on the sheet because this is adventurous ukuleles. So, same strumming pattern as we just discussed. Let's see if we can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. E minor. Back to the C. E minor again. A minor. 7, D7, and we go straight back into a repetition of that. Let's put the lyrics on top. 3, 4. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Your protein pills and put your helmet on. There we go. Not too bad. I think that's nice and simple, that part. Strumming pattern is the tricky bit. If it's too fiddly to do, stick with strumming on the beat. Ground control to Major Tom. It sounds almost just as good. But we want to play gently, really, here. It's quite calm. When we do that once through, we then go back and do it again, and this time in the background we have a countdown. So if you're playing with more than one person, one of you needs to do the countdown. So we've just done put your helmet on, and every 2 beats, I think it is. Yeah, every 2 beats we do a number. So we start with 10, 9, 8, 7. You get the idea. And then we get to lift off right at the end. Check out the video to hear that. But we just do the words underneath that for the 2nd time through. We get to check ignition and lift off. May God's love be with you. Hold that D7, because here we have the lift-off break. We need to simulate the spacecraft taking off. If you listen to the original recording, it's just full of notes of all different instruments playing random notes, not from any key, as more discordant as possible, gradually increasing in volume. And they deliberately, I think, don't put the re-entry to the tune back on a strong beat. There's no particular count, they just noisy come back in randomly, although the drums do lead you in. I've decided to do, I think I did 4 bars clean noise there. This is where you need your slide though for the first time. So let's use the battery. When you're playing slide, there's a little technique to play. What we're doing is not fretting the notes. Normally when you play a note, you push your finger down on the string until it's firmly touching the fret just above where your finger is. So the string vibrates from the fret to the bridge, the saddle of the ukulele, and it shortens the string. So if I slide my finger up, you can hear where it's touching the next fret. There's a break. If I use a slide, or a battery, or a knife, or anything, then this becomes the fret. So the fret is now on top of the string. Don't push it down into the frets. If I push it hard down, I'll get a click as I hit the frets, and also you'll hear the fret notes. You'll hear a different note per fret. But I just want to be touching the string firmly enough so when the string vibrates, it makes a note, but not hard enough to push it into a fret. And then I've got a movable fret. I have a smooth distinction between the notes. So I tend to hold, if I'm using a battery, I tend to hold it between 2 fingers like that. Push it down, or maybe even 3 fingers, so you've got a finger above it as well. And then push it down on to the fret like that. Not too hard. Sounds like the beginning. If it sounds like the beginning of the Looney Tunes, I can't remember the tune. Then you're doing it right. It's a bit of fun to play around with. But for now, what we want to use this is make spacecraft noises. Who knew your ukulele could do spacecraft noises? Now you do. So we just finished on a D7, so that's a good place to start on the 2nd fret. Gradually slide it up. Make it sound like a car revving. As you get higher, smaller differences make more difference to the note. Smaller movements. So I start moving to individual strings and just randomly sliding around. I'm having way too much fun here. You can get some cool noises, so experiment with that. If you're using a slide, you can actually slide it onto your finger. I use my ring finger, but you can also use a little finger. It's a bit easier to control. You could also use a key ring. Why not? Anything that's metal and has a smooth surface. Let's try the knife. A round handled knife would be better, or even a fork. Works alright. So what I suggest is that if you're in a group of you, one of you does the lift-off noises and the other just does kind of robotic spacecraft noises in the background. Have some fun, you know, get the kids involved, and you've got to make it crescendo, get louder and louder until you're ready to lift off. So, make God's love be with you. Grab your slide. Then you've got to put your slide down again and get ready to play, which is probably why you need 2 of you. And then we're on to section B. Section B, after that lift off, we get to what feels like the chorus to me, but you play it more often than the verse, so how can that be a chorus? We're starting on C again. This is ground control to major. Then we use an E7 this time. So let's look at the chords. We've got a C, we've got an E7. Should be familiar to you. It's actually not that hard to play. Much easier than a full E major. 1st fret, 2nd fret, open E, 2nd fret on the A. Then we have an F, should be nice and familiar. Then we have an F minor, less familiar, slightly more awkward. 1st fret on the G, open C, 1st fret on the E, 3rd fret on the A. So what I tend to find is when I play the F major, and I need to move to the F minor, I take those 2 fingers, I swap them round, and then I use my little finger to do the top note of it. So then, when I go back to a C, which is next, I just take those 2 fingers away. Then when I go to an F again, put those 2 fingers back down, but keep the little finger there. You can do that with an F. Then when it's time to go back to the F minor, then swap them back round again. And then the C. So I keep that little finger down all the way through the Fs and the Cs and the F minors. So here is the chord sequence for section B. 3, 4, C, E7, twice through. So let's put the lyrics on. So I'm going to do the second time we do section B, which is Major Tom's turn to speak for the first time. 3, 4. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. There we go. Again, not too bad on the chords, definitely trickier than the first section. Now F minor is mainly responsible for that. Spend some time practicing F, F minor, C, keeping that little finger down all the way through that sequence. Do let me know in the chat if you'd like, if I haven't spent long enough in any section. I'll try and keep an eye on it and see how we do. Right, that's section B. We do that twice. Then we go to section C. So far, so good. Twice section A, twice section B, on to section C. Section C is my favourite part. It's much softer, and we can use a picking pattern here. As always, though, we don't have to do finger picking. We can just strum. We can strum the normal pattern that we talked about, or even just still strum once per bar, or once every couple of beats, or even once per beat. We start off with the same chords as we used in the intro. F major 7, E minor 7, then we get a nasty little sequence, B flat. So that's 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and then 1st fret, 1st fret, working from the head to the floor, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. I play it with a full bar across there, because I'm a guitarist and I'm used to that. Ukulele players often play it with a partial bar, so the first finger only covers the 2 strings nearest the floor. Third finger, 2nd finger, and then 1st finger does both of those strings. You can also play it with 4 fingers and use 1 finger per fret like that. Takes longer to get to like that, that's all, but that's perfectly acceptable. It's probably the trickiest chord in this piece, so don't be afraid. There isn't really an easy way around it either, I'm afraid. You could just play 3, 2, 1 and not hit the string nearest the floor. But if you do hit the string nearest the floor, then you get a B flat major 7, which is nice, but not quite right. So we've got that B flat, it's only 2 beats long though. Then an A minor, then a G for 2 beats, and then an F for 4 beats. We've got a marginal change of time signature there. So the last bar, the last bit F chord lasts for 4 beats, so it feels like it's a whole bar. But it comes, if I was to count in 4/4 all the way through, it would come halfway through a bar. So I've just written a bar of 2 for that G, just to make sure you realise that the F is held for 4 beats. So let's hear that section C. 3, 4, F major 7. I'll talk about the picking in a minute. E minor 7. F major 7 again. E minor 7. B flat, A minor, G, long F. Good? With the lyrics, 3, 4. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. There we go. Now, combining that strumming pattern with someone else playing the picking pattern, I think is beautiful. That's what I used on the video to give a different effect for this bit. It should be floaty. The harmonies and the melodies very floaty here, floating around your tin can, far beyond the moon or above the world. So this is the picking pattern I suggest for that first F major 7 section. You could also use this in the intro if you wish. For finger picking, we use thumb, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger on the right hand. We don't tend to use the little finger. Each one of those fingers or thumbs lives above each one of the 4 strings and doesn't really move from that. On guitar we have to move around because we've got 6 strings and only 4 usable fingers, but on ukulele we've got 4 strings, perfect. So keep the fingers on the right strings. We do break that rule from time to time, but not this time. And for the F major 7 you're going to start from the 3rd finger and work down to the thumb. So anchor your hand somehow, either with your little finger on the body of the uke like that, or with the palm of your hand on the bridge of the ukulele, or even with the arm on the ukulele. But you need to be touching the body somewhere, so your hand is in the right place. Then 3rd, 2nd, 1st, thumb, like this. Thumb should be a bit more straight. Mine's not very good technique. I tend to curl my thumb up and then put it straight when I play. If you can keep your thumb straight all the time, that's great. Fingers a bit more curled. That's what we're looking for here. We're playing semi-quavers, so 1E and a 2, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... So let's take it a bit slower. 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Then when we move to the E minor, because of the weird tuning on the ukulele, this re-entrant tuning, we've got a high G where it feels like it should be low, we need to then reverse the picking pattern to get the same kind of sequence. So thumb down to the 3rd finger. So it's thumb, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's a bit more natural for folks normally. So we do 4 lots of the 3rd to the thumb on the F major 7, and then 4 lots of the thumb to the 3rd on the E minor 7. It should sound like this: 3E and 4E and... The transition between them can be a little bit fiddly, like that. That works really well on top of the strumming pattern. So if there's more than one of you playing in the room, and if not, get your family involved, get your neighbours involved. They don't even have to play ukulele, get them singing or get them playing the drums or playing the bass or just wearing a hat. That works really nicely together with the strumming pattern. You can keep it going for the B flat section if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, G. I just picked the 3rd finger down to the thumb approach, but you could equally well do the other direction, the thumb to the 3rd finger. Just pick one direction that works. That is shown on the other side of the piece of paper, on the bottom there. Picking pattern in section C. That's the fingering for that one. Okay, we've done section C. We are more than halfway through the song, and we are more than halfway through our time, so we're doing okay. After section C, the top right hand corner, I've written down the structure of this song. We go into the instrumental. So far, intro, section A, section A. Lift off, section B, section B, section C, and then the instrumental. Sudden gear change here. Bowie kicks off all the other instruments, just plays the guitar, and does this cool little riff. It doesn't sound quite as good on the ukulele as the guitar, but the essence is there. Go for it. We've got to suddenly be quite strong here. And it is just simple chords. There's a C, there's an F, there's a G, and there's an A major, not an A minor. Remember, you can simplify chords as much as you like, but you can't change a major to a minor unless you have my permission. So I'm going to scroll down the music again so you can see the tab for this. The rhythm looks really daunting, but it's basically each chord with a little break before it. I actually take all of my fingers off the strings and do the break. So it's C and F and G and A. That's not strictly how to count it, but that's how I think of it. I've written in some downs and upstrokes there, but you don't have to follow them on this. You may find it easier to ignore those and just do what your brain wants to do. For the ands, though, before each new chord, take your fingers completely off, and I tend to do an upstroke on that. So C and F and G. You can hear that. On the upstroke there, I take my fingers completely off and I just get the open sound of the ukulele, the A minor 7. Bowie does this on the guitar as well. It's very effective because you just get that weird E A11 chord coming through, and it goes. That's the kind of thing we want going on here. 3, 4. So the C and the F and the G are equally spaced. But then we hold the G a little bit longer, and then we do an A. So 2 A's, one after the other. C and F and G and A. Let's take a bit slower. 3 E and 4 E and C and F and G and A. That wasn't any slower. 3 E and 4 E and C and F and G and A. 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 A little bit quicker. 3 E and 4 E and C and F and G and A. C and F and G and A. Remember, you can slow down YouTube videos, so you can slow me down if I'm still doing it too fast, and have a go at that. That, I would say that's actually not that hard, but it feels like the hardest bit the first time you play it. We need to get it to this speed. But they're all chords that should be very familiar to you, so they're not a lot of brain effort to try and work out where the new chord goes. Again, repetition, repetition. That will get that ingrained in your brain. It legitimizes what you play. It's a very strange chord sequence, but because he does it twice, it sounds right. Okay, we do that twice through. 3 E and 4 E and a. Then we go to what feels like our section C, F major 7, E minor 7, but this time we go to an A major, then a C major, then a D major, then an E major. I've actually written an E7 on the sheet. You can play an E7 if you'd rather. I use some different chord shapes there because they make sense in my head. As soon as we get through the A and then the C, I'm just sliding this shape up 2 frets to get to a D, and then sliding this shape up 2 frets to get to an E. I'm just going to switch the chords back again before anyone complains. Just check it. Yeah, no one's complained yet. So this is then the instrumental all the way through, and I'll have a look, talk about that D and E7 again in a minute. 3 E and 4 E and F major 7, E minor 7, A major, C major, D major, E. So I'm using for my D and my E 2 2 2 2 and 5 for the D, and then 4 4 4 and 7 for the E. They're just the same shape but slid up 2 frets. And if you think about it, if I slide the D shape down 2 frets, that's also the C shape. So once we get to the C, it's just moving up tone at a time through the chords. You could also use standard open chords, C, D major, that's our normal D, and then E7. That also sounds fine, and that's what I've written on the sheet to avoid having to write any more chords at the top of the sheet because I ran out of space. There we go, that's the instrumental section. You can do some noodling if there's more than one of you on the top of that. The A7. All of those major chords at the end, A, C, D and E, can be 7th chords if you'd rather. And so that, think about that if you're doing a solo. Use your Mixolydian scales for those. I haven't tabbed out the solo. That can be an exercise for the adventurous people. Anyway, we get through the instrumental and then we go back to section B. Major tom is now past 100,000 miles. We think that means miles an hour. Not sure. Don't think it's 100,000 miles up. It's a little bit ambiguous. Anyway, it starts to get a bit weird here because his spaceship knows where to go, and he seems to be outside his capsule and not being able to hear ground control anymore. It gets a bit dark. I love this. This shivers down my spine sometimes when I hear this because it's quite a strange story. So we do section B again. The past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still, and I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Drop the volume here, tell my wife I love her very much, she knows. And we go into the climax of the song, section D. This is only played once. Now play this strongly, and you don't even have to use the full strumming pattern. You can just jum, jum once every 2 beats is absolutely fine. Ground control to major tom. So once every beat I'm playing there. So we've got a G, it's a section D here, sorry. We've got a G chord, an E7 chord, an A minor, an A minor 7, a D7, then a C, and then a G. Nothing new in these chords. Let's hear how it goes. 3E and a 4E and a G, E7, A minor, A minor 7, whole bar of D7, whole bar of C, whole bar of G, and then we're going into section C from there. Let's put the lyrics on top of that. 3E and a 4E and a ground control to major tom. Your circuit's dead, there's something wrong. Can you hear me, major tom? Can you hear me, major tom? Can you hear me, major tom? Can you hear? So you join in, can you hear, with here am I sitting floating around my tin can. That's back to section C, into your F major 7. Remember to drop the volume, put the picking pattern back in if you want, but play softer if you're still strumming. So there we go. Can you hear me, major tom? Into section C. Can you hear? Am I floating around my tin can? Far beyond the moon. Last bit of lyrics here. It's the same B flat sequence. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Here comes the instrumental again. This takes us to the end of the song. Off with a long held E chord. If there is someone else in the room, at the finish, grab your slide again or your battery. Let's use the battery. I suspect that's what most of you are using. And try and do it. I tend to use the high strings for this bit. Oh, get it. We want spaceship drifting through space, slowly cooling as it leaves the light of the sun behind, and no one knows what's happened to Major Tom. Gives you a nice kind of mysterious effect at the end. So again, you need 2 of you if you want to do that while playing an E chord. That section where ground control is shouting out to Major Tom, can you hear me, Major Tom? You can really make that quite strong. It's that's the bit that I get shivers down. It's like, what's happened? What's happened to Tom? Nobody knows. But he knew something was happening. He told his wife that he loved her very much. Clever song. I was going to say clever little song. It's not a little song, and it's not a simple song. There are lots of different parts to that. We are nearly up to our time limit, so I am going to say we're going to play through the whole thing, see if we can do it all at once. My wife didn't get a chance to practice this last night, and I don't think she's been watching the tutorial. If she turns up in a minute, then we know she has been. but I'm going to have a go at this on my own, which means I can't do all the effects and I don't have anyone to do a countdown for me. So I need you guys to do it. If you fancy filming yourselves do it, even better. No one has yet sent me a video this term for any songs on this. If you do film yourself playing stuff that you've learned on tutorials, please send it in. And if you'd like, I will feature it on the live stream. But it is fantastic to see you guys enjoying yourselves. So let me know in the chat if there's any bits you want me to go through again. I don't think you will, because there are not much time left in the day and we want to get through this. We've crammed in a lot there. We've got finger picking, we've got awkward rhythms, we've got slides and batteries, we've got loads of new chords. We've got a heartbreakingly sweet, sad, enigmatic song about space travel. What more could you want on a Saturday morning? Okay, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, let's do this all the way through. If you have got more than one of you doing this, one of you take the ground control lines and one of you take Major Tom's lines, and then add the harmonies in when they're singing together. It's great fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. I just want to share the joy. It probably took me the best part of 7 hours to do that video. It's really not economic, but it is bringing me joy, and I hope it's bringing you guys joy. All the way through then, guys, from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control. 9 to Major to 8. 7. 6. Commencing. 5 down. Engines. 4 on. 3. 2. Check gig 1 in and lift off. May God's love be with you. Get your slide going. 3, 4. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. Major Tom, here we go. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. guys. Thank you for joining in. It's no fun doing it on my own. I'm looking forward to the day when we can meet face to face again. But it is fun making these videos for you. If you do like them, if you're still here and you're still watching, thank you so much. If you enjoy them, let me know. That makes it slightly worthwhile. If you absolutely enjoy them and you want them to carry on, please support me financially if possible. On Patreon, there's a link in the description, or on just with PayPal if you'd rather. Again, link in the description. That helps me have the time to make these videos and not go out looking for other work. Guys, we're just up to our hour. Thank you so much for sticking around. I aim to make these last 50 minutes, but this was a big one. We'll do a little bit more simpler next week. Keep the song suggestions coming in. I've got a good list of ideas for this term now. We might even do a vote. Anyway, check the description for any other links and stuff that you need, and I'll see you next week on Adventurous Ukuleles.